Hi, Soul Family. I know I haven't been in here in actually quite a long time, so I just got a couple free moments, so I'm gonna try to explain what's been going on. So I'm gonna give it a couple minutes. It is a Saturday at 12:57, almost 1 o'clock. So we'll see who's on. Okay. I am live in the group. Okay, good. Okay, so it's really weird when I'm doing this on my phone and I can go on to the laptop. Hey, Rachel, and then see myself doing the video. Oh, well, okay, that's new. I didn't want to do that. Okay. All right. So this month has been crazy, guys. Crazy. Okay. First things first. I've been noticing for the last month, the end of September, all of September into November, especially now, a lot of weird health problems are happening with a lot of people. I myself had a lot of health problems. I was purging a lot of deep-seated residual throat chakra and heart chakra pent-up energy that I didn't even think I even had. But because I had to move back in with my grandmother, and all this stuff with her health and her karma coming back to her and stuff, I was triggered, and I needed to learn my lesson of stepping into my own power. So in order for me to advance, I needed to clear out all of this deep-seated, I owe my family everything because they did everything for me, these paradigms and these programs that were set up by society, by culture, whatever, hey Christy, hey Tammy. I don't know why they're not letting me wave it. There you guys. Apparently I'm not pushing the button hard enough. Alright, I waved it, you guys. I'm gonna take off my glasses because it's just easier. So I had to deal with deep-seated blocked energy that I didn't even know I was blocked because I was pushing it down and I wasn't dealing with it. So when I moved out, because I was angry and I'm like, I can't deal with this anymore. Instead of actually confronting it and voicing my opinion and being okay with the waves that it would make. Don't mind my lines. I'm still trying to get over and purge the energies that that's coming through. Yeah, it's been an interesting month. So what I've been learning, I went to meditation 2 Sundays ago, and everybody thought I was coughing up, and I was coughing. And the medium / Reiki master that was there, she was all explaining to everybody else that I'm not sick or anything. It's just I'm purging 30 years of being a slave under my grandmother. And being a slave to the concepts of you owe your grandmother and your family everything because nobody else is around and you have to do it. So it's all this paradigms where I don't really have to. I put it upon myself. I chose to. And it wasn't in alignment with who I am and my higher self. So all of a sudden, I ended up getting sick. I ended up getting stuff because my grandmother was like, there was a play of power there. And she, right now with the dementia and things like that, there's a change in who she is. And I do believe that she and her essence and her spiritual self is no longer in her vessel. I believe it has been taken over by a negative entity or entities, not necessarily super negative or anything like that, but just entities that she's made pacts with, like fear. I consider fear an entity in and of itself, because it can take our livelihood away from us. It can make us do things that we don't want to do, or anger. And it's not our higher self coming through. It's the ego. And so she has lived a life of always wanting to be in power. So a lot of the times is now, especially before the Ascension event. Hey, Terry. There is a lot of things that are coming up. The energies are hardcore and they're pushing us to be in our truth. If we are not in our truth, then we are going to continue to have these problems. So the lessons that I'm learning and the lessons that everybody else is learning too. I work at Sherwin-Williams now. So I keep getting people coming in who are contractors working for painting houses and things, and they're having freak accidents. But what's interesting is they're not actually freak. They're actually probably the universe working in alignment with them to make sure that they don't take on the whole paradigm of have to work, break your back, get nothing out of it. Because these paradigms are breaking and malfunctioning. Hey, Terry. So our whole system that we grew up on and that we were founded from is crumbling because the new energy in the light matrix is now incorporated into the earth. So a lot of this is what's coming up. We see more anger, more animosity. People, instead of just, because what's happening is we've been pushed like a baby out of the birth canal to our breaking point, our new birth of our new life. So all the things that did not support us and who we were back then are being thrown out. They're being like, you know what? I'm done. I can't support that anymore. I've changed. I have different viewpoints. A friend of mine's going through a divorce as well, which I didn't even know because, you would think that they had the perfect life. They had the kids and everything. Everything seemed perfectly on the outside, but internally there was issues. And people weren't living their truth. Both couples were not living their truth. And that's fine. Things happen. This is why we go into these situations, to learn what is good for us and what is not. Sometimes they're in our life for a set amount of time. Sometimes they're not. It is okay to change. The only constant, guys, is change. If we did not have change, we wouldn't be on this earth. It would be too stagnant and there wouldn't be any sense in learning, because if you've already known everything, there's no sense in being there because you already know everything. So this is why we have the different dynamics of the experiences that everybody learns and the different kinds of viewpoints. So this is just very interesting. And I've noticed also a lot of the light workers I work with are being targeted right now. So we have to definitely, instead of, what's happening is a lot of the negative entities and the negative, I don't even know how to explain it, the entities that are trying to control the matrix type of thing, or control the way that we live, by fear-mongering and things like that, they're stepping out and they're working harder than ever now, especially since Halloween. And they are trying to thwart the 5D upgrade that we're putting in, because we've already moved from 3D to 4D now. Now this 4D is fluid. It's fluid energy. It's not stagnant like 3D, like, okay, this is this, and this is this, and A plus B equals C. No, in this, it could be A plus B equals 24, and minus 62 equals adjacent. The word adjacent. I mean, it's crazy. Hey, Crystal. So we're all trying to learn new ways to go through this 4D, which is a mesh between the 5D and the 3D. And things that we set in motion are instantly manifested now. Like, the veil is so thin. The fact that people are waking up to their truth and the fact that they can manifest their own reality. They gotta look internal, though. They can't look for it outside. That's the catcher. You cannot look for it outside with material things, with your job that you have, with your family that is around you, because all that is transparent. Because we're all here for a certain amount of time in a physical body or with a certain thing, and you can't guarantee that that's going to be there all the time. So you can only rely on your inner self. So this is why it's so important to go inside, especially during Mercury retrograde, which is what's happening right now, and re-look at yourself. Anything with RE. I know I'm jumping all over the board. Sorry, guys. It's just, there's so much in my head right now that needs to be said, and I'm just getting messages from left and right, trying to compute, and Spirit has been on me, and this is all new, because I did not have these gifts as developed as they are now. So, what's interesting is I have to also learn to recenter. And once I stepped into my truth, and I was not afraid of the confrontation that it would make, I was not afraid of breaking out on my own and falling flat on my face, and being like, okay, I might have to get a shitty ass job to make a living or whatever. I was not afraid to show my grandmother that what she wanted for me was not what I wanted for me. The moment I stepped into my truth and did that and dealt and was okay with her not being okay with it, that's when all my gifts started popping up. That's when all of a sudden I could start hearing things. The other day, I was in the shower, and you know how your hands usually get pruny when they're really wet? Mine didn't get pruny anymore. Mine got sandpaperish. Sandpaper, guys. So that's another upgrade. We are definitely advancing our human DNA. I had back aches for the last 4 days, like severe pain. Like on my collarbone, I just touched my collarbone and it would be like neuropathy. Like it was weird. And I'm like, okay, it's part of this cold thing or whatever. No, this is not a cold. It is energy matrix upgrade, DNA activation, telomere lengthening, being more, the vessels advancing so that your light body can expand. So it actually, I kept telling people, it felt like my skin was too tight around my body. And everybody's like, what the heck is that? They thought I was crazy. If you have these issues, or I shouldn't say issues, sorry. These symptoms, or these upgrades, I like to put upgrades, it's way better. You're not alone. Our bodies are changing. We're becoming the new humans. Hey, Deborah. So watch out for things. I know some people in this group were saying that the pupils of their eyes were changing into like hexagons and stuff. That's another one. Or the shininess in your skin. Instead of being like just regular flat, it'd be like shiny, like your rainbow colors are coming out. Your chakras are advancing. I had a couple people just look at me. I mean, even when I was like baggy and all this stuff, and be like, wow, your light really shines. And I'm like, thanks. Because I don't even know it. But by doing the transformation, going through your shadow self, being accepting of your dark side, so to speak, or your traits that are not so positive, or that the culture or society or whatever won't like, even those things that are slightly taboo that everybody was jading everybody else on, that's all a learning experience. Excuse me, I'm still releasing out of my throat chakra because I apparently still haven't fully spoken all of my truth yet. So I'm still trying to work on what I'm still not speaking. It might be to my older brother. Because until I speak truth to everyone all across the board, and not be afraid of how they're going to come at me or try to thwart me or try to make my life bad or whatever, if I just rise above it, then it goes away and I'm better. So a lot of this has to do with the change in the energy. I don't know if you guys saw my post about the light pillars. That was an interesting one too, because in Canada, instead of the northern lights being in the sky, they're light pillars. And it sounded like in the article that they were coming up from the ground up to the sky. So that's really interesting too. We've got a lot of energy coming in. And our galactic friends and our galactic federation are here to help us as well. I know I haven't been on as much, but I've been also trying to transform my own life here and try to be more fluid. And I know Facebook is actually thwarting a lot of the light workers. I've had a lot of people who were being attacked because of what they were saying, and they're speaking their truth. So you have a lot of trolls and things like that. So if that's happening to you too, don't worry about it. Just ignore them. I follow Phil Good on YouTube with my other YouTube channel. Hey, Julie. And he actually just did a live 2 days ago, and he had to get rid of a troll. And there was some girl that on there, and she goes, I don't like you. Because he was doing the live, and YouTube's got this live thing now where you can actually comment. And he's like, well, that's okay. You don't have to like me, but I ask you to go inside yourself and like yourself. and to basically move on, for this is not worth your time right now, since, you voiced that opinion and you're living in your truth. So he was okay with blocking them and reporting them or whatever, because we have to be okay with that. Because if we don't, then these negative entities, these negative feelings, these ego-run programs and paradigms will continue. And if we want to advance, we have to put a stop to that. We have to be awakened to what our programs are running in our heads. And the only way to be aware of it is to go into a situation where it will trigger them and bring them out. A lot of these are deep-seated, not even necessarily from this life, but from past lives. Ones that we've tried to collectively heal. Now, a lot of the stuff I'm healing, I know there's 30 years of issues with my grandparents and issues with myself not being worthy, so I'm working on that. But also, I think it also has to do with a lot of past lives where I was a slave to either my parents or a subordinate or something else, which is now in this life trained me to be like, it's okay, you're not going to die just because you voice your opinion, okay? Nobody's gonna come at you and kill you. And even if that was the case, you guys know that you're transient. This physical corporeal body is just physical. It's just an experience that we're living. We are here to experience the physicality of life in the human form. Because otherwise, in spirit form, it's completely different thing. In spirit form, we could manifest whatever you want. You can think it and it will just manifest right away. So trying to learn how to do that with blockages is what we're kind of down here doing. We're like, wow, this is mucky. This is interesting. This is a very challenging thing, but I can get through this. Let's see how we can work around this and make this happen. So there's a lot of things going on, a lot of spider web things, especially now during the holiday season. My Thanksgiving is going to be pretty much another day. It's not going to be anything quote unquote special this year, which is fine. I don't mind that. But I just ask you guys to just be aware of when you're triggered and the different things that happen, because it's bringing up deep-seated things for you to clear. A lot of the things now, the paradigms people are backing away from, they're owning their own truth. And the people who don't, like my older brother, he's still a workaholic. He's having issues with different things that are coming up. And he's of the mindset that, hey, that's life, whatever. He's still stuck in the 3D, unfortunately. And we cannot push them out of that. They have to be pushed themselves. They have to be aware of it themselves. We can only drop hints and be like, okay, well, this is what I would do, or this is what, would be more easier for you if you chose to do this. But everybody's got free will, and we cannot push them. It's like the saying that you can lead a horse to water, but you cannot make them drink. The horse has to drink on their own. If they're starving and they don't want to drink, then they're not going to drink, unfortunately. It's free will choice. And I've learned this, too, in the relationship I was in, which is now basically disintegrated. I'm still talking to him. That's another thing, too. I've learned that it's not of my highest good, and I was only staying in it because I wanted a companion, and it was not true to myself. So I think that's a lot of my cat. Sorry about my cat. A lot of why I'm still dealing with the throat issues. But I did know the other day when I was in the shower, and I usually do most of my energy work in the shower. I just let the water penetrate and then just wash away all the negativity, and I'll do my meditation and my mantras. And I just send love and light, because I'm like, whoever's talking through my grandmother is not her. Because back in the day, she was genuine. She loved everybody and things like that. But now it's just there's always an agenda. Because she somehow got linked in with something that's speaking through her that wants the energy exchange. And I'm not playing that game anymore. And that's why I kept getting sick a lot. And when I was away, I was better because there was no drama. I could do what resonated with me. When I was at school, I did what I wanted to do. I didn't have her breathing down my neck, controlling me, saying, oh, well, you should do this and you should do that, and feel guilty about that. A lot of this, too, that's coming up for me is guilt. And I know a lot of us have a lot of guilt with what we're doing and how society tells us to run our lives. Like, oh, you're guilty for not being a good enough mom. You're guilty for not staying in the relationship and marriage. You're guilty for not getting your kids the best gifts because the other moms did. All that is paradigms. We have to get away from the fear. We have to cut it with the white light and let it go. We have to just be like, you know what? Sometimes that is what it is. There is a duality in this life. There is people that have a lot and people have hardly anything. And then there's people in the middle. There's every aspect. And this is why we're living these aspects. So we can see from different angles. The other day, I had a very interesting thing happen to me at work. I had been taking cold medicine, and I'm not one to take cold medicine. I'm all about holistic stuff, but I was under the paradigm that I still had to go to work because I still have to make a living. I still have to pay my bills. And that is true to a degree. So I was taking cough medicine, and I was going to work, and I was getting all kind of like loopy. And then I sat there and I started thinking about my old job at Beals. And there was one woman there that would always come in every year with chronic bronchitis. And I did a little video before on my regular page about this slightly. I mentioned it. And I thought, I always was mad at her. I always judged her. I said, why come in here all coughing? You're gonna get everybody sick, and you're gonna be, you're not considerate to other people at work when you bring in your stuff in here, even if you're on an antibiotic. And I was just all not happy about that because I have a compromised immune system. So I was only thinking in the section of lack of, oh God, I'm going to get sick because I have a compromised immune system. That's all fear-based mongering. That's all fear-based programming that I was living in and that I needed to clear out. Now, when I got sick now, and my grandparents were in the hospital with pneumonia, in October, and they got out on the 31st, and then I went to work, and I'm still transitioning from the purging of the negative programming, so to speak. I sat at work and I thought to myself, wow, I am now in that situation. I am now going to work sick, coughing on people, and my coworkers are looking at me how I looked at Debbie, my worker. Hey, Elaine. And I started thinking, you know what? Maybe she came to work because she did. She had her grandmother, her mother, who was Alzheimer's. And her mother was so nasty. Her mother was so on the deep end of the Alzheimer's and not knowing reality that she thought when she had the TV on that the people from the TV were coming in to kill her. So Debbie would come to work to get away from that because Debbie had nowhere to go. Debbie had no family to help her take care of her mother. And here I am sitting at work doing the exact same thing. Going away from here with all the negative, naysaying, guilt-tripping, manipulative behaviors my grandmother was doing to me and everybody else because she doesn't like her life now and she wants it to control back. I was going to work to get away from it. I was going to work to seek refuge, even though I was sick. And I started thinking, the universe is giving me this scenario and having me go through this sickness and do this so I can turn around and resonate with what happened to me 7 years ago, or actually 10 now, when it was 2011. In 2011, what was happening to me and how I was inadvertently judging other people unknowingly. It was a silent paradigm running in program running in the back of my head. I didn't even know I was even running. So now, all these years later, hey Nikita, all these years later, I'm sitting there going, this experience was thrown at me by the universe so I can upgrade and put at peace that karmatic debt and understand that when we go around and we start judging people and things, it is not of our higher self. We do not know what's going on in their end. We do not know what's going on at their house. We do not know what's going on with their family. We do not know what's going on with their head or with their health or whatever. So we must not judge. And it's hard, guys. I get it. It is hard not to judge because this is that whole 3D programming we have to kind of bring ourselves out of. So these are a lot of the different things that have been triggering me. My younger brother, I was being triggered by him too. His case in point is he gets money from the government. And my ex-boyfriend, was also getting money from the government, but he had to go through loops and hoops to try to get his stuff, where my brother was grandfathered in because of his schizoaffective disorder. and he's his own payee now, but he's using the money this coming week to go down and instead of save up for a car like he's supposed to, go down and go on his TV show that he wants to for America's Got Talent or something. And I was judging that. I was like, oh my God, how can you do that with that money? How can you do that when other people are, striving to make ends meet and use that and they can't do this? And I'm sitting there going, this is being brought up because I still have that paradigm in my head of judging other people who I think are not worthy. And that is not on me. That is not my place to judge people who are worthy or who are unworthy. There is no such thing as worthy or unworthy in this life. That is a human-made paradigm, an ego-set paradigm, set long ago when humans were first colonized, to keep them in check. It is not of our higher self. There is no judgment. There is no, this is right and this is wrong when we're in our higher self. It is all an experience. So on the other side, or however you want to explain it, or, being in the universe or being in your higher self, you have to start thinking from that perspective. Start thinking the universe is always going to surround you with the situations and the experiences that you need to learn to better yourself. When we get higher into ourselves is more or less when we also end up getting less of the negative experiences so that we have less to convert and to transmute into positivity and life lessons. I'm still learning. This whole experience for this year has been an experience for me. But it was also meant for me to be able to be in my truth, because apparently I am definitely destined for something bigger and greater. So I have no idea what's in my future, but I am not afraid of it now. And the cool thing is, the bliss that comes after just releasing all that pressure and all that, I have to do this and I have to do that, it's just gone, guys. It's amazing. If you just let it go and not be afraid of what happens and just be like, okay, the universe will take me where it wants me. If it wants me to die tomorrow, I will die tomorrow. However, I don't know. If it wants me to survive, if it wants me to meet this person and help that person, then that's okay. I got this job and I'm talking to my boss at work about esoteric things, about energy exchanges, past life recall, being an empath, all these different things that I would not have pegged him for. Now, granted, I also judged him going on in the beginning, too. So, that also shows me that don't judge people when you first... it's in human nature to just judge people, but just be open to the idea that maybe they're in your life for a different reason, to open your eyes to something that you did not see in yourself. Because everything that's out there is part of what's in here. The more we clean this up inside, the more we get right with ourselves, the more our outside realm equals positivity, bliss, and enlightenment. It's micro to macro. Micro, macro. So the more we take care of ourselves, the more we center ourselves, the more we don't deal with other people's bullshit or other drama, the more that we separate ourselves from that idea of having to own everybody else's stuff. It's not our stuff to own, guys. Whoever thought of that? That's all just jaded. No. That was all placed in there. No. We own our own stuff. We own our responsibilities for our life, for our choices. And that's all we can do. That's all we're here to do. We're here to spread love, light, and blessings in all circumstances, good, bad, indifferent. So this is big, guys. This is big. And there is a upcoming, event, they're saying that is possibly around December. So all this purging is coming out now so that the coming millennium, 2020, will be an interesting new age. It'll definitely be new age. And I've heard different things. I've heard a lot of the negative entities that were controlling things, like the banking system, the hierarchy, the government systems, are going to be leaving because their timeline has expired. And now the new timeline, which is linked to the light matrix that was encoded into the earth, and with the other group that I'm working with, which is it's called hey Pamela, Wow, I can't even remember the group's name. Earth Crew. Sorry. It's called Earth Crew, and we work on healing the planet and all the. We did the Great Lakes, we did the grid system, we did the air, we did Mercury, we did the sun. We've done at least 5 now. To repopulate the light body in the Earth and to send in the positive pulses. It all started with clearing the Van Allen belt. So we've been working really hard on transmuting all the negative programming, all that slave labor, all that soul labor, all that paradigms that the elite cabal, or whatever you want to call it, has been bringing in to colonize and monopolize and slaveize, or whatever you call it, the rest of the human population, because that is no more. The Galactic Federation has intervened with enough people being awakened and enlightened to be able to set forth new paradigms of prosperity and abundance. But we have to completely collapse these negative timelines first. And in order to collapse the negative timelines first, we have to go inside ourselves, forgive ourselves for our shortcomings, because everybody's got shortcomings. Forgive ourselves for our anger. Forgive ourselves. Enslaved. Yes, thank you. For everything that we think is negative, because in reality, it's actually not necessarily negative. It's just a different perspective. Because if you're in your higher self, nothing's positive or negative. Everything's just existence. It's just an experience. Whether or not it's just that experience that, oh, okay, that was unpleasant, but whatever. Or this one, oh, that was joyous. That's a human aspect of it in order for us to be able to process things. So a lot of this, we have to go internal and we have to clear it out. And a lot of us are clearing it out for generations and past lives. So we're doing a lot of the legwork, and it's hard, guys. I get it. I'm there with you. It's like depleting, hardcore depleting. So, I've been drinking a lot of filtered water. I've been doing a lot of my essential oils. I've been doing a lot of gluten-free food. I have been eating protein, though. I have been doing meat. Friends of mine are actually not eating meat anymore, which is fine. It's up to them. My boss actually is deciding not to do that. He said he feels better. It also actually depends on your body and what your body tells you to do. I also started eating a little more candy. I was doing dark chocolate and peppermint bark. Because dark chocolate has got antioxidants in it, too. So I was just doing a lot of that to get me through. And it goes in phases. So, like, for a little bit, it was dark chocolate. Now, yeah, I don't really need it. It just depends. Juice, hydrate, guys. Hydrate. I was in the shower the other day, and I came out with dry hands. I had pruny fingers, but I had dry hands, and I don't understand that. The only thing I can think of is my body, because it's mutating and transmuting all of the light body codes and activating all the latent DNA that we're supposed to be activated. Oh, I forgot. I was going to tell you about that, too. It's mutating our body structure and our DNA. So anyways, getting back to when I was in the shower and I had all the collarbone issues and the neuropathy, I felt as if right by my spine, right down the back and up into my neck and down to my tailbone, that it was almost like a butterfly or a caterpillar that's in a cocoon and their wings are being made. And it was almost like my wings, I had wings that were in my back and that were just being made. And then they kind of like just broke. It was almost like it was breaking through the skin by the spine and just breaking out. And now it's better. I don't have the pain there, but I almost feel like I have little wings on the back of my back, just kind of like, you know, I've always thought I had wings. I've always been attuned to angels and things like that. But this was interesting. This was almost like I was literally being cut open with like a laser or something, and then it just kind of like the wings just kind of broke out, and now they're kind of like just sitting there like this, drying, you know, so it can grow and go bigger, and I have this like massive like wings or whatever. It's actually very interesting. So if you're feeling like that and you have those kinds of experiences, don't disregard it. It's actually happening. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not happening. So we are definitely activating DNA strands that were latent in the human DNA scheme. So you're going to find more heightened abilities, clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, claircognizance, all the clairs. You're going to have experiences. People are probably going to come to you for more advice. You're going to be more of a beacon. You might also end up becoming more of a beacon for negative feedback and things, because our light is so powerful that the dark tends to like try to back. So don't feed into it. Don't like bark back. That's what I've had to learn too. Just be like, okay, just send them love and light, and they'll just go on their way. They'll just turn around and walk away, you know, if you don't feed into it, because that's what they want. They want that exchange, so that if you feed into it, they'll take your energy. Excuse me. So there is a lot of different things going on, and I'm sorry that this was kind of all over the place, but it's a lot to take in, guys, and I know it's been crazy. It's about 4 months of a lot of different changes. So I'll try to be on a little bit later. I've got a lot of things. We have people here at the house for my grandparents, and their health's deteriorating. Like I said, my grandmother is just negative Nancy all the time, and it's not her who's speaking through. It's whatever this negative thing is that she's made a contract with, that is siphoning her energy. And I now know it, and I now see it because my gifts have come online, and I've seen the energy change in her and her voice coming through. And I knew it before, but I didn't want to believe it. I didn't want to believe that my grandmother was controlled by a negative entity, because I was just like, that's devastating. And then I went inside myself and I said, what if? What if that's true? What's the worst that would happen? Nothing. The only thing that would happen was I would wish her well, that she would transfer back to the other side and be free of that entity. Because she's probably in so much pain right now, and she doesn't know left or right of what is true with her and what is not, because she's being fed all this crap up here by this, whatever this thing is. And it's just sad. But that is also what's coming back to her, because her manipulation through the years, even stuff that's being brought up on my aunt that I didn't even know about because I wasn't even born yet. The manipulation my grandmother did for my grandparent, or for my my aunt and my uncles that were alive. Oh, you're very welcome, Crystal. I just speak. I don't really know if it helps anybody. I'm just sharing my experience. So I figured if I share my experience and it resonates with somebody, then it will help somebody. That's all I care. They come through to me and I just share. I've always kind of shared before, but I stopped sharing for a while because I was jaded, because people are like, oh, you're out in the public now. You have to, don't do that. People are going to think you're crazy. And I did. I stopped. And I'm like, now I'm been like, nope, have to be back in my truth. Like when I was in high school and I just said whatever and everybody's like, oh, there's Goofy Jen walking down the hallway. Oh no. But, it made me who I was. And now I'm getting back to that. And I'm actually more happy because I sit here and things happen and I just laugh at it now. It's just like kind of because I'm so far removed from the ego center of it and the outcome of the situation that I'm like, I don't care anymore. It's like, I just don't care, because that is not my truth. My truth is here. I know my truth here, and I don't need to prove anything to anybody. And I'm not afraid if they come at me with something, because I know as long as I'm speaking my truth, I am taken cared for physically, spiritually, and emotionally. Because if they want to take me out, at some point, they can take me out. However they want to, whatever. I mean, anything's possible. Okay, thank you, Pamela. I appreciate that. I really do. Yeah, I try. I know a lot of people love to learn. And I was told when I was a kid that people used to come to me for advice. Adults. I always gravitated towards adults. I never really clicked with those trendy kids. They were like, oh, look at the fashions here, look at the fashions there. I was never that. I was a hippie little kid. I was always making mud pies in the backyard. And oddly enough, I was out there actually painting the mud onto the house. So I think that was also a past life for me. probably from being in a mud dwelling somewhere. But yeah, they've always known me as the eccentric, weird flower child, nature enthusiast, crystal loving guru. So I just, and I was cool with it. I did puzzles, I did whatever I wanted to. And then once I got into the idea that I had to be in the real world, and my grandmother started coming down at me and being like, oh, you have to find something that you have to, do this and you have to conform. And then I'm like, oh God, I have to conform. Yeah, old soul, exactly. And then I started conforming, and oh my gosh, it was not me. I started jumping jobs. I didn't like what people were doing. Because being an empath with a bunch of people that are not happy is not a good scenario. Oddly enough, the job I have now is actually really cool. It's hard sometimes with different things and learning different things, but it's the first job that actually I've been okay with. And I've actually been able to stay because the energy is just good. And my boss is actually okay with the whole idea that, and he's actually asking me all these questions. So I'm in this job also to advance him so that he can also be a catalyst and a mouthpiece for truth and awakening other people. Because they actually also inadvertently follow the medical medium from Hay House. He's got a couple books and they're doing the celery cleanse. So we started talking about that, and I started talking about my clarifications that I've been able to, do fairyology, realm reader, and crystallology. And he's like, oh, you can do that? And I said, yes, but I don't do it publicly necessarily because my circle is not ready yet. So I'm waiting for the right moment for when spirit tells me that it's okay to actually voice that, because right now it's such turbulent times that I was told to just settle on it. I have the degree, I have the ability to do that, but until somebody comes to me personally and wants a reading or something, I don't really do any of that because the collective is not 100% yet. They still they had to be woken up. This is the first step. Being woken up is the first step. Down the line, it'll be fine. I'll be able to, be able to be in my truth. And that's the other thing that's cool, guys. The moment you become in your truth, at least in my situation right now, what's happening with me, I'm seeing visions of my future. It is crazy out of this world, guys. Like, I did not want to break up with the guy that I was with. Hard time. He was always guilt tripping, saying, okay, I'm going to commit suicide if you do, because you're the last one, blah, blah. And I've had a real issue with guilt for a lot of these different situations, and guilt's a big part of my life path lesson. So finally, the other night, I was sitting in the car with him, and he said all this stuff, and I said, I don't care. And to somebody else listening in, they must have thought I was like crazy and mean and things like that. And I said, I don't care. I said, if you want to walk out in front of that truck right now and get hit, that's your problem. I said, that's your life. You have that free will. I am not owning that. That's on you. You cannot place that on me. I do not accept. And I've been doing this a lot, guys. I would go, if something goes wrong, like if the car goes wrong, I'll be like, I do not accept. I'm not accepting this. I am not accepting this. And sure as shit, it gets better. It goes away. And it's weird. And I'd like actually to challenge you guys to see if that actually works for you. If you go and you have a situation and you go, nope, not accepting it. And you stick to it. And you're like, nope, not accepting. You put that wall up and you're like, not accepting, not accepting, not accepting. And see if it actually disintegrates the situation or becomes better. Or if that person comes to you and you say do not accept, they go to somebody else and have their drama deal with somebody else. Because that would be an interesting thing to see if it actually resonates with everybody. That'd be an interesting to see if people figure that one out too. Because I've been noticing that too. I'm sitting here going, oh my gosh. I'm like, my car was starting, I have a backup camera thing on my car and the digital thing. And I have a Buick 2013 LaCrosse. And it's had problems with the camera, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, the system. And every now and then when I'm driving, it will, all right, cool, Crystal. I'd like to hear whether or not if anybody does that. It was malfunctioning. Like, it'll just shut down. Like, I don't know if there's a piece of technology in there and the motherboard that's, like, loose or something, or if a mouse got into it somehow or something. But it's been randomly, shutting down and then restarting and shutting down. Not the car itself, but the computer. It's almost like it's in the Matrix. It's so weird. Because it'll go with these lines like this, and then crosswise, and then the Buick logo will come on, and then it'll just be like, it'll just be so weird, and then it'll just start. And I'm like, nope, not accepting, and then it'll be fine. It'll be fine. Now, I was also told by the same spiritualist I was talking about that I go to my meditation, that my car might have a spirit in it, or it might have gotten something from, like, the way it was made or something. So what I did last year, I went and actually yelled at my car while in a parking lot of a restaurant. People thought I was goofy. And I yelled at whatever it was to get out of my car. And sure enough, within 24 hours, my car was fine for 6 months. Fine. So I don't know if something attached to me and then attached to the car because I was involved in drama with somebody else, and it very well could have been the house I was living in back then, which was on Main Street, but it was also riddled with people who were all stuck in negativity and drained by leeches. I call them leeches, versus demons or whatever. They're not really demons. They're just malevolent ghost type, spirit type energy suckers, so to speak. And most of the people that were living in there were not of their highest. We're not living their highest self, so to speak. So a lot of those people had attachments attached to them. So I got out of there. So I think when I did that with the car, it helped out a lot. So that was interesting too. But like, I'll just be like, something will happen and then there'll be like an accident or something, and it'll come up and I'll be like, nope, not accepting. I do not accept this. I'll say it out loud. I do not accept this. Within 5 minutes, it clears itself up. Either the traffic gets rerouted somewhere and the flow is back, or if it's a person I'm dealing with, the person ends up resolving their own issues somehow and I'm not involved, so I don't have the drama. Or whether or not it's the weather. I've even done this with the weather. It started snowing real bad the one day, and I'm like, I do not accept this. I do not accept this weather. And sure enough, the snow stopped for a good half an hour so I could get to my destination and be sitting safe inside the doctor's office before the snow started falling real good. Then I got out of the doctor's office and it was fine. So it's interesting because we are the universe. We are co-creators, guys. We can do this. And it's fun to try to mess around with it and play with it. Because we forget that we can do that. The more we play around with it, the more we're aware of it, the more we advance it, and the more we can do with it. And these are the things that the higher powers want us to know, and these are the things that the Cabal and the lower entities do not want us to know, because that is when we can take control. And we can own our own energy. But anyway, so, I digress. Sorry. I was going somewhere with some of that. I don't remember now. Oh, sorry. But anyway, so yeah, there's a lot. Oh, it was my aunt, with her stuff about my grandmother, about the fact that her karma is coming back to bite her now. The fact that she was manipulating so many people through the 60-some years of her lives. Crystal, you actually might be a, I forgot exactly what they're called. There's a name for it. People who are able to manipulate the weather. Part of your elemental essence. I have a friend of mine who can do that. She'll walk out and like the sun will just come out of the clouds when she's there. I do that sometimes too. I was told I'm slightly elemental in that aspect. The fact that I can actually control some weather depending on my mood. So if I'm really, really depressed, it'll get like gloomy and stuff. But if I'm really happy, like it'll be sunny. I don't know. It's really interesting. And when I was doing the Realm Reader course, there are aspects of our DNA that actually are part of how we can actually control weather, because it's part of the old Druid teachings. The whole Avalon, Atlantis, that whole thing about different things that are seated in our DNA and our crystals, like the Andrea crystals, I think. I still don't have one. Jamie was going to, she was saying I was going to get one, but I never ended up getting one. Instead, I ended up getting this crystal, which I still don't 100% know what this, I mean, it's an aqua aura quartz, but I was told it was something special. So I'm not 100% sure, but I knew I had to have it. So it's definitely come into my life as a protector. I wear it at work all the time. So my aunt was telling me things about my grandmother and how my grandmother raised her and how there was no love in the house. So the thing is, my grandmother never really learned self-love. She learned how to manipulate to get love outside of herself, but she was never able to heal herself of self-love. And she had a lot of trauma going on when she was a kid. Her mother never loved her, and always put her older brother, who was 10 years older than her, above her. So there's all this ingrained mother-daughter drama, karma, life lessons that have to be healed, and I'm doing that. And I think a lot of the reasons why I was really sick and coughing hardcore, because I wasn't just transmuting mine, I was also transmuting all of hers from her mother and her family and the generations going beyond that. Because now I am able to be powerful enough to be able to transmute. Sorry, I get excited. I talk too fast. I'm able to transmute all of that so that the collective going forward, and if I have a child or a daughter, they're not put into that same karmatic wheel, because I cleared it all out, or I am clearing it all out. So this is how we break the patterns. This is how we're able to heal karmatic debts that are deep-seated in the DNA and in our family ancestry. I'm also clearing out a lot of things that had to do with Salem and the witch trials. That started around Halloween. Because I was afraid of speaking my truth and the fact that I am a spiritualist and the fact that I can actually do certain things. I'm not 100% fully on it because I'm in the situation now where nobody's really listening, so there's no sense in even saying it. I'm just here in case anybody wants to talk, but like I said earlier, my surroundings, people aren't enlightened enough. I am in a town where it's very enlightened. East Aurora is the hometown of the Roycroft, which is the artisan movement in New York State, near Buffalo. So I was also strategically incarnated here for a reason. And then this actually was made by a Roycroft artisan as well. So I always get comments on that as well. I mean, so there's little things, and I keep getting spirit guides that are coming through. There's this one guy that I was told that comes through who was a herbalist in the late 1800s. But when he was doing the herbal tinctures and stuff, because he knew about the health benefits of it, that he was basically, he had to do it in the closet, because otherwise they would think he was doing something satanic. And so he came through to me when I started my oily journey, when I got my Young Living Essential Oils in 2015. He came through to me in a reading one time, saying that he's very pleased that I can do this because I have a sixth sense in being able to be out in a field and say, oh, that's that plant and that's good for that, or that is that plant and that is good for this as well. Because somehow it must have been brought over from a past life where I was an herbalist as well. Probably from Salem also. Now, I've always had issues with my throat being things really tight around my throat. I couldn't wear turtlenecks for the longest time. I couldn't do a lot of that. And a lot of that is because I do believe I was hung as a witch in Salem. Actually, ironically enough, I was doing research a couple years ago before I was all into this spiritualism. Oh, the phone. Hopefully they'll get it or they won't. They'll leave a message. And basically, on my grandfather's side, there actually are two people that actually died in the Salem witch trials. And then ironically, I've been waiting for a Nancy Drew game to come out for the last 5 years, or 3 years, I think it was 3 years, all about the Salem witch trials. Sorry, it's Kathy. She's our aide. She's talking on the phone, but I'll figure it out later. I'll call her back. Or she'll call my cell phone or whatever will come up on here. But yeah, so there's a lot of synchronicities that are coming into play now. And the reason why this is synchronicity now is because they were working on a different game for 3 years, 5 years, whatever it was. And now is when I found the information about being a witch or being in Salem or clearing all that energy out. And the Nancy Drew games definitely go back and do actually historical research with their games. So a lot of that is why I gravitate to those games. But it's really, like, if you really sit down and you think about different experiences you've had, you think about, okay, my life ended up going this way, and then you delve into it. I've sat down, I've written down, okay, I had this at this age, I had this at this age, I had this at this age. And then you go back and you look at it. You can kind of see patterns erupting and being like, oh, well, when this happened, what else happened? You know, and the more you dig into it, the more you're aware of it. And that's when it brings it up to the surface for you to clear it out and cleanse it, so that you don't have to relive it. Because that's when being aware of it helps, so that you don't have to keep living that same thing after thing after thing. And that's what's happening with me now. Having to move back into my grandparents' place. I didn't want to. I knew it was going to be a problem, but I had to, because that was the universe telling me, this is how you're going to be able to clear your karma with your grandmother for the 30 years of feeling repressed and not validated as a human being. And if I hadn't moved back in and had these confrontations with my grandmother and been like, okay, no, I'm not owning your crap. And being like, okay, you're treating me like shit, but I'm not going to take it personally anymore, because I know that this is your karma coming back to you. And I'm sorry, but you dished it out first. So you're going to have to deal with it. And if you don't want to deal with it, that's fine, but you're not pushing it back on me. And if I hadn't moved back in here, that still would have been deep-seated in my sacral chakra and my root chakra, where it would have been causing me all sorts of gut problems and all sorts of things. And it would have just exasperated it going on, and it would have come up years later, probably when she was probably passed, and I wouldn't have been able to clear it out personally that way, physically, face to face, so that she could get the karma back. You can always clear it out even if the person's passed. It's just not as visceral. Sometimes you need the visceral, sometimes you don't. So, I mean, there's a myriad of different ways. But just to be able to even forgive and forget the people, well, not necessarily forget, you never forget, but to forgive the people who have done transgressions against you, not for them, but for you. Like my father, I forgave him a couple years ago, and then actually, ironically, is when I found he was into spiritualism after my mom died. Which blew me away, because I did not peg him as that, because when I knew him, he was an abusive alcoholic. And now he's like this nice, cool guy that's always, helping out and stuff. And it's completely different. Like how people change depending on what they're awakened to. Now, some people, like the guy I was dating, the guy I'm still kind of talking to, he's still stuck in his pattern. And unfortunately, I don't feel like he's going to break away from it unless somebody else besides me wakes him up. Because I thought I could. That's my drama. I put my drama into that. I went into this relationship and the situation thinking, you know what? I can help him. I can heal him. Because I know now that when I see people, I see them in their highest sense. I see them acting out their highest, best qualities in life. Making the best choices. And then when they don't, and I'm confronted with the fact that they didn't, and I'm frustrated because I'm like, oh, you should have done this and this and this. Then I start going into ego, and my ego starts taking over, and I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. Step back. Take a breath. Relax. Recenter. It wasn't up to them. They were not at that point in their higher self to be able to resonate with that yet. I put that on me. I caused that drama on me. That wasn't on them. That drama that happened because they were all upset and they were doing this, I put myself in that place. Because I was trying to make an outcome come out of the situation that they weren't ready for yet. They weren't aware of their karma. Yeah. And it's actually kind of hard, because I came back from the other side, from the universe, wherever you want to call it, heaven, wherever you want to call it, with that in place. Like with that, most people have the blocks there, that the memory fog. I don't. That is a part that I actually came in with ever since I was a little kid. I've always seen the best in everybody. And that's why everybody goes, well, why do you keep giving everybody chance after chance after chance, and they keep letting you down, and keep letting you down, and keep letting you down? And for a while, I'm like, just because I know that they can do this. It's because I keep seeing their higher self, regardless of where they are in this life. And that's when I realized now that I had to be more aware of, because I had to separate myself from it. It's a good quality, but you can't go forward in life expecting people to always be able to choose that, because they don't themselves see it. If they can't see it, they don't know how to do it. And me trying to push them to be able to do it themselves is not going to help them, because they're doing it for me and not for them. So they're not aware of it. So I'm actually just hindering their growth by either doing it for them so that they don't get into a situation where it's going to cause me issues because I'm with them. Because inadvertently, that was me causing myself more karma. Because if I'm there and I'm like, okay, well, there's this situation, and I know if he gets into this situation, I'm going to end up getting involved, and I don't want to deal with that, so I'm just going to correct the situation before it even happens. That's not doing anyone any justice, except for getting you out of a situation that you were going to have to deal with anyway, and putting it to another situation, because that karma will come back around. You're going to have to deal with it one way or another. So trying to avoid it is not the way to go about it. And that's what a lot of us, I think, do. Or at least the human census, the people that are asleep. But anyways, I have a lot more information that I could go on. I could go on and on and on for hours, because I tend to do that with a lot of other people. But I'm going to let you guys go. So yeah, this is a lot of information. If you guys want to end up replaying it and writing down certain things or whatever, or taking little things with you and leaving others, I'm perfectly okay with that. I'm just a vessel. I'm here to share what I've been experiencing and my knowledge. The coming months are going to be intense. Not bad intense necessarily, but just a lot of things that we thought we dealt with are going to be coming up for final clearance and clearing. And this time around, we need to be aware of what is actually true for us in this moment. It might not be true for us before in the past, and it might not be true for us in the future. But right now, in our truth, where we are on our path right now, we have to honor that. And in order to honor that, we have to be true. Regardless of how other people are going to look at us, regardless of how our outside circumstances might look and how we think they might happen and develop, because everything is changing. Time is not fluid anymore. Time is like bam, 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 over here, over there. Time's like poof. So yeah, there are loopholes, vivid dreams, and a lot of things too. I mentioned on, I forgot whose post, I think it was, I don't remember who it was, but they mentioned that they were having really weird dreams about like cult things and stuff. That stuff's happening to me as well. A lot of the old paradigms are collapsing, and so they're coming up for us to release and be aware of. I had a dream, and to be honest, I was embarrassed about it and petrified and so ashamed because it was kind of taboo. And it was all about like tantric sex shit with like this cult thing. And I woke up going, oh my God, that's so creepy and weird. But I was jaded because that's how it was. That's how we're programmed. It's like, oh, you can't do that because that's sacrilege or things like that. But back then in those timelines, it wasn't. That is what we did because that is what we lived. And we cannot deny that. If we deny that, we deny part of ourselves. So I had to wake up and be like, okay, yeah, that was kinky. That was completely not allowed in this culture. But I should not be ashamed of it because it is part of my shadow self. Apparently, the cult I was in, I don't really remember exactly what it was, but it involved around sex and demonic stuff and trying to, not necessarily demonic, but more, I thought it was for a positive thing, and then when I got into it and got involved in it and with the one guy and da-da-da-da-da, I ended up getting killed as a sacrifice because I knew too much and I was going to out them, I guess, or something. I don't know. But the way the dream went, it was really weird, and it was like, but basically my point is I was able to heal that by bringing it up in my dream, and I'm working on accepting it as part of who I was at that point. And it also goes back when I was a little bit younger and I was into vampires. So that's all that. I never understood why I was so fascinated with vampires. But I think it was also because one of these cults back in, 1700s was probably all about vampirism, and it was also about bloodletting and sharing blood between both human vessels, the male and the female, and the different aspects, and the tantric, la la la. So I had to honor that, and I have to honor that. Because if I deny it, that means I'm denying part of myself, because that was an experience that I lived in a past life. Whether or not it was approved of now or not is not the point. The point is it was an experience. That was my past life. That was part of my power and I'm calling it back into myself so I can be well-rounded and understand that that was an experience. It wasn't a pleasant one. Parts of it were pleasant. Parts of it were exciting and on edge and, adrenaline run. But at the same time, that was that life. And I died tragically in it, unfortunately, because that's the way the life was going. So I'm able to integrate that now into my current life. I'm going to be like, oh, well, that's my part of my shadow self, and I honor that. And the more I honor it, and I'm kind of getting giggly because I'm honoring it, and then I can feel part of it going, ooh, she's honoring me. It's kind of weird. But the more I do that, the more I get happy, the more my vibration rises because I'm being honest with myself. I'm not hiding who I am or what happened. Okay? So yeah, a lot of this is a lot of that. So anyways, if you're having a lot of crazy dreams and a lot of things, if you can remember them, write them down. Because if you write them down, then you can go back to them. I have to actually go back through, I have a stack of journals that I used to remember when I was like 16, up until like 22. I used to write them down all the time. And I'm going to go back through and see if anything resonates with me now. Because I know a lot of them I had 3 of them during my birthday where I got shot in the stomach. When I was around 18, 20, and 21, I believe. In 3 different lifetimes. Yes, being authentic. So that, once I realized that the link between it, my stomach issues started to abate. And then I started to understand that I was having stomach issues, partly at that time, specifically around my birthday. That was when I was 26. Because I had been shot in a previous life and my cells still thought that was going to happen in this life. But now I'm better because now I'm 36 and I don't have that DNA, that cellular memory has been able to be cleared because it's like, hey, you're older now. You're still alive. You're still functioning. Okay, we're not scared anymore. We can release that anger and fear and all that. The more you release it, the less you have in your body, the more your body can advance. So anyways, sorry for this being super long. I did not plan on it. I just kind of shot from the hip. But in about a half an hour, Kathy's going to be here to take care of my grandparents. So then I'll be able to play my video game or whatever and do all that kind of stuff. See more. Thank you, Rachel. I appreciate that. It's not letting me see more the full comment that you read. But yeah. A lot of it with us light workers, it will resonate with a lot of people because a lot of what I'm clearing is a lot of the collective as well. So it's not just my karma. And a lot of you guys will probably end up having the same thing because we're at a period now where we're purging a lot of the collective's issue as well. Even people that are not even awake yet. So a lot of that is going to be bubbling up now too. So just be aware of like when you're triggered and things and just, try to set back. Like believe me, I know when you're in that position and you feel like shit and you feel like there's nothing you can do. Like I was there like 3 weeks ago. I was like, I can die now. I'm good. I don't care. But I wasn't, because that was my ego. I was stuck in my ego. I was in pain. I didn't feel good. I still had obligations I had to do. And then I said, okay, I accepted it. I said, if this is what you need, Spirit, and this is what is supposed to be for me, and I'm supposed to go out this way, then that's okay. I accept it. And I will do my best with the time I have left to purify and to try to help people and to make them aware of their own karma and to be of service to those who are willing to be of service back to me. Because you can't be of service to people who want to take, because that just doesn't work. That makes more animosity. So don't give your light away or stuff, because I was doing that and now I'm purging all that karma. So yeah. So be good, everybody. Love, light, and blessings. Namaste. And I'm glad I could share this with you, and I'm glad I could resonate with people and that, bring a little more fluidity and wisdom to what is going on with the collective and the collective unconscious, the collective consciousness, and the energy that is just spewing out. But I'll share more later about the sun and the central sun and what's going on with that as my group advances. But around 4:44 today, I'm doing a group healing for the Mercury transit. So we're doing a group healing, and I'm going to be sending love and light to everybody on the planet and everybody's heart centers, helping everybody surround themselves with the pink light of lovely, and invoking the purple violet flame. That's another thing I was doing a lot too. Invoking the violet flame, which actually awakened my spiritual center more or less. And I have another group that I'm in as well who I pay for. It's a subscription group for my friend Jen Feline, and she does the chakra healings every month too, which is also helping lighten up the physical body so that I'm working with it so it flows easily now. So anyways, love, light, and blessings, everybody. Always remember to work internally to get your external situation handled. Because what you are inside is what is manifesting outside. Micro to macro. I wish you all well. Have a lovely Thanksgiving if I'm not on here before then. And I will talk to you soon. And have happy holidays. I'll definitely be on before then because I'm getting a schedule down and I'm definitely making time for myself. Putting myself first, which is what we got to do. All right. Love, light, and blessings, everybody. Namaste. Thank you for watching. I also upload these all over to YouTube, my YouTube channel. If you feel like going over there and subscribing, feel free. Excuse me. I'd love to see you over there. I have other videos as well about all my past musings on energies and the situations that I've experienced throughout my whole entire life for the last 3 years. So if you want to go through there and seek out the playlist that's Take a Page Out of My Life's Book, that's all about the spiritualism and the different connections I've had there. Or if you're interested in essential oils, I have ones on Young Living too if you want, or whatever. But hit me up on my YouTube channel. I always upload these over there in case the Facebook platform goes down or whatever, and they try to, hey Janie, catch the replay. I'm just about to get off. But yeah, go on to YouTube in case Facebook decides to smother us and try to clamp us down with our truth, because they're starting to kind of, I don't know what you would call it, like make it so that people aren't seeing the truth posts as much, which I have a feeling that Facebook's probably going to end up getting slapped one of these days, and it's probably going to go down within, or be modified to the point where people are going to start jumping off. And going either onto Instagram or YouTube. That's why YouTube's starting to do lives now too. So I don't know. All right, I will see you guys later. Love, light, and blessings. Namaste. Have a great day. Thank you for sharing and thank you for watching. I appreciate you and I love all of you. Blessings.